8 reasons why quiet people often become wildly successful. Number 1. The Mastermind Blueprint. Silent minds are not idle. They are architects sculpting the unseen foundations of future victories. While the noisy masses scramble, distracted by urgency and seduced by the illusion of momentum, the quiet strategist sits in stillness, peeling back the layers of complexity that others overlook. They don't merely react to the present. They probe the edges of what could be, asking questions others are too frantic to consider. What's the second consequence of this action? What vulnerabilities lie hidden beneath this surface when? Their power lies not in speed, but in their willingness to pause, to marinate in uncertainty until clarity reveals itself. Think of a chess grandmaster, eyes sweeping the board, not just seeing the next move, but the chain reaction of 20 moves that follow. Every piece, every silence, a deliberate act of positioning. The silent mind crafts plans not to impress, but to endure. They know that speed blinds, but depth illuminates. In the quiet crucible of reflection, they forge strategies tempered by foresight and patience, strategies that can outlast storms, absorb setbacks, and transform apparent chaos into a well-executed checkmate. While the world glorifies the fast and the loud, the silent architect plays a longer, colder game, one that turns uncertainty into opportunity and noise into advantage. In their silence, they whisper to the future, bending it subtly to their will. Number 2. The art of deep listening. Have you ever truly listened? Not just heard the words, but felt the weight behind them, the pauses between sentences, the hesitation before a confession? It's a rare skill, yet one that separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. The loudest voices often drown in their own noise, mistaking volume for value, but the wisest counsel is born in silence. Quiet achievers, those who speak less but understand more, have mastered the art of deep listening. They don't just wait for their turn to talk. They lean in, tuning their senses to the subtlest shifts in tone, the flicker of uncertainty in someone's eyes, the faint sigh that betrays frustration or longing. They decode what's left unsaid, sensing the invisible currents of emotion running beneath casual conversation. In business, this level of perceptiveness is a superpower. It's how visionary leaders anticipate needs customers haven't yet articulated. It's how innovative companies create products that feel like they were plucked directly from the customer's imagination. Think of Steve Jobs, who didn't just ask people what they wanted. He listened to their frustrations, their inefficiencies, their half-formed dreams, and gave them something they didn't even know they needed. Deep listening is not passive. It's a form of silent alchemy, turning whispers into gold, uncertainty into clarity, and fleeting desires into enduring solutions. In a world where everyone competes to be heard, those who master listening become the architects of progress. Are you truly hearing the world around you, or just waiting for your turn to speak? Number 3. Zen commanders of chaos. While others flail and thrash against the relentless tide of noise, the silent warriors stand unmoved, unshaken pillars in a tempest that consumes the weak. They do not merely endure the storm, they step inside it, breathing in its chaos as if it were oxygen, allowing the fury to swirl around them without ever letting it touch the stillness at their core. How often do we see people buckle under the weight of too much news, too many opinions, too much chatter? Their minds fracture like glass under pressure, every shard reflecting a different fear, a different doubt. Yet, the silent ones move differently. They slip beneath the surface noise where the water is calm, where clarity reigns and distractions dissolve into irrelevance. Their detachment from external clamor isn't apathy, it's strategy. They master the art of quiet observation, processing everything while revealing nothing, turning every scream of the world into a whisper they can choose to ignore. Imagine possessing a mind so anchored, so rooted in self-mastery, that no insult, no deadline, no frantic demand can penetrate the fortress of your focus. What could you build in that kind of silence? What heights could you reach if the noise of the world became nothing more than distant thunder, present but powerless? This is the quiet advantage, to find in silence not absence, but control, to turn overwhelm into a symphony of precision, where every note is placed with intention and the only voice that matters is your own. Number 4. Decision alchemists. Introverts don't merely make decisions. They transmute chaos into clarity, like modern-day alchemists turning lead into gold. In the silence of their own minds, where the world's noise fades into whispers, they blend the raw ingredients of intuition, observation, and cold logic into something rare, deliberate action. They don't rush headlong into choices, swayed by the winds of peer pressure or fleeting emotions. Instead, they watch, quietly absorbing the subtle tremors beneath conversations, the unspoken doubts flickering in someone's eyes, the contradictions woven into promises. They gather data not just from facts, but from atmosphere, from tension, from the way truth bends under scrutiny. Where others react, introverts refine. Their decisions aren't impulsive stabs in the dark, but sharpened arrows, each one crafted through reflection and refined through self-interrogation. What might this decision cost me? Who benefits if I hesitate? What lies beneath the obvious answer? Questions like these ripple through their thoughts, giving weight to every move they make. And while others drown in second-guessing or scramble to undo hasty choices, introverts pivot gracefully, adjusting course with minimal fallout. Their superpower isn't indecision. It's the patient forging of conviction in the quiet crucible of their own mind. They are living proof that the most unshakable choices are often made in silence, long before anyone else even notices a decision was made at all. Number 5. The creativity incubator. Silence isn't an absence of sound. It's a vast, fertile landscape where ideas germinate, evolve, and bloom into brilliance. In a world obsessed with noise, notifications, chatter, endless streams of content demanding attention, silence stands as a radical act of creation. It is within this quiet that the most innovative minds, often introverts, thrive. Why do introverts so often lead the charge in art, literature, science, and design? It's not coincidence. It's the natural byproduct of their inner world. Their minds are not empty rooms echoing with doubt, but intricate kaleidoscopes, where every observation, memory, and fleeting thought collides and fuses into something new. They collect details others miss. The way light fractures across a rainy window, the subtle tension in a room before a storm of emotion, the unspoken story in a stranger's glance. When they finally choose to speak, their words don't spill out carelessly. They are distilled from hours, sometimes years, of silent contemplation, polished until they shine like rare gems. Their conversations are not small talk to fill silence. They are revelations, masterpieces built in the solitude others fear. Without silence, would we have Van Gogh's starry skies, Newton's falling apple, or the timeless prose of Emily Dickinson? What if the next breakthrough, the next seismic shift in art, technology, or philosophy is being born right now, in the quiet mind of someone who has learned the true power of silence? Number 6. The focus fortress. While multitaskers scatter their attention like shards of broken glass, slicing their own productivity in the process, quiet pros construct fortresses of focus, impenetrable sanctuaries where deep work thrives. In a world addicted to the ping of notifications and the endless tug of urgent yet trivial demands, these masters of concentration operate differently. They treat their attention not as an endless resource to be squandered, but as a finite treasure, guarded with the vigilance of a sentry at the gates of a citadel. Every intrusion, a buzzing phone, a flashing screen, a passing conversation, is met with a mental drawbridge, raised high to preserve the calm within. They don't just resist distractions, they engineer their environment to repel them entirely. Can you recall the last time you were fully absorbed in a task, where hours slipped by unnoticed, and the work seemed to flow through you as though some invisible force was guiding your hand? That is the power they've mastered, not by accident, but by design. They sculpt rituals that shield them, perhaps silencing their phones, dimming the lights, or even embracing noise-canceling headphones like a knight dons armor before battle. Their focus muscle is forged in silence, tempered by discipline, and hardened by refusal. The refusal to surrender their attention to every fleeting whim. In their fortress, deadlines crumble under the weight of relentless, undistracted effort, and the noise of the world fades to a whisper outside the walls. When the world calls, they choose when, or if, they answer. Number 7. Words as precision weapons. Quiet voices often hold the heaviest truths. When those who typically dwell in silence finally speak, their words land with the force of a sniper's bullet, deliberate, surgically aimed, and impossible to ignore. Every syllable is stripped of excess, each phrase sharpened like a blade honed over years of restraint and observation. These individuals understand that power doesn't lie in how loudly you speak, but in how precisely you deliver the message. They know silence is not an absence of voice, but the creation of space, a vacuum where carefully chosen words detonate with maximum impact. Have you ever felt the room shift when someone, normally silent, breaks their silence? The sudden stillness, the way every head turns, the air thickening with anticipation, all because they've earned the right to be heard. It's not verbosity that moves hearts or bends minds, but timing, precision, and the unshakable weight of conviction. They speak when the world has no choice but to listen. From boardrooms to battlefields, history remembers not the noise, but the moments of profound clarity, where a single sentence ended wars, shattered illusions, or reshaped destinies. The silent achiever doesn't need to fill the air to leave a mark. They let silence build the stage, and their words become the act no one forgets. Number 8. Shadow growth mode. Their ultimate hack, the one most will never understand, is the art of thriving in complete obscurity. While the masses scramble for fleeting attention, plastering their highlights across social media in a desperate bid for validation, the quiet strategists operate in silence, far from the noise, far from the hunger for applause. They sharpen their skills when no one's watching, pushing themselves through grueling, unglamorous work, grit under flickering midnight lights, calloused hands tracing the edges of their craft, minds absorbing knowledge like sponges while the world sleeps. No applause, no likes, no praise, just progress. Every setback becomes fuel, every underestimated moment becomes leverage. They embrace invisibility as their training ground, knowing that greatness isn't built under flashing lights, but in the dark, where focus is razor sharp and distractions are absent. And then, bam, they emerge, seemingly out of nowhere, fully formed, sharp as a blade, moving with a confidence that only comes from mastery earned in solitude. The world stares, dumbfounded. Where did they come from? People whisper, as if greatness is some cosmic accident. But the quiet ones know. They've always known. Victory tastes sweeter when no one saw you coming. Conclusion. So, to all the quiet forces out there, the ones who've been dismissed, underestimated, or overlooked, you are not invisible. Your so-called weaknesses are not cracks in your armor. They are the very edge that makes you dangerous in a world addicted to noise. There is immense, almost gravitational power in the person who can sit still while the world thrashes and roars for attention. Refine that quiet. Sharpen your stillness into a blade so precise it cuts through the chaos without ever needing to shout. Have you noticed how the loudest voices often say the least? How the most desperate for attention drown themselves in a sea of empty words? But your silence makes people uneasy because silence holds weight. Silence demands respect. When you fully own your quiet nature, you no longer chase validation. You pull it in effortlessly. The world leans in when you don't compete for the spotlight. It wonders what you know that they don't. It senses the strength beneath your calm exterior, the potential energy vibrating behind your eyes. Because when silence finally speaks, it doesn't just whisper, it commands. And empires, whether ancient or modern, have always learned to listen. Call to action. If this stirred something deep inside you, if you've ever felt the power in your own quiet presence, smash that like button. It's a simple act, but it tells the algorithm we're on to something rare. Subscribe for more counterintuitive success strategies made for minds like yours. Stay quietly unstoppable.